There you go.
Going a little slow.
I guess we get new theme music every week.
Just a new one.
Oh,
Listen. Dirty hands, clean money.
hot damn.
I like it. Old
Yeah,
campaign video uploaded into AI and wrote a song.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Snowmageddon is back.
It's supposed to be a big one. Now they're even calling for snow on Thursday.
They're saying
Again.
They're saying it's coming in tonight.
Yeah, 5 inches. But it's like that much snow.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, last weekend's ice storm was.
Sorry, throw them off.
Was problematic. We were off Monday and Tuesday at school, 2-hour delay on Wednesday. I'm telling you, my wife was ready to get the routine back.
Yes.
But
I was actually helping Callahan do his in-school work.
Yeah, right.
Last week, so it was pretty fun.
But you know what? A teacher. Well, you know what? Let's thank our sponsor, Coleman
Yes.
Distributing, bringing it back to you. This week's beverage, Carolina Blonde.
Yep.
Foothill Brewing.
Yep.
North Carolina beer. This one's
Light
good.
beer.
Yeah, it's not like last week's that Modelo.
It says hops and barley. It
Yeah.
tastes good, like Coors Light.
Thank you, Chip, and the Comer team again for providing this week's tasty beverage. But yeah, had a teacher bring up something that I didn't think of. So when we're dealing with this inclement weather, we build in snow days when we build our school calendar, right?
Yeah.
School board and administration does.
Because we're great at projecting things.
So if you have built in, say, 4 snow days or 8 inclement weather days, whatever it is, why have e-learning? If you build in the days,
Right.
why not let the kids, go ice tubing on the hill over here at Winthrop Ballpark or, whatever?
Maybe because
Why make them e-learn?
our school districts are falling short of the average right now.
In
Some districts. I mean, Clover's way up there. I'm good on
yeah,
half of it.
yeah. And Fort Mill, I hear they're doing great.
No, I don't talk about north of the river.
You do, just disparagingly.
This week we got budgets, bathrooms, and back pay.
Yeah, that's right. How do you want to kick it off? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, we will just talk about, as far as what happened this week, of course, historically,
Yeah.
Henry McMaster's 10th State of the State,
Yeah,
longest serving governor. And this wasn't necessarily, you get the speech, and it wasn't necessarily about everything that we're going to do, but it was a lot of what he has been able to accomplish.
Yeah, right.
And it's amazing to go back and look and see how much South Carolina's grown over the past 10 years.
No kidding. And if I was sitting in the governor's mansion for the last, 10 years, I'd make the argument that, hey, that's some great leadership
Yeah.
over the last 10 years.
Well, it's kind of hard to argue with that.
That has, rode this wave of growth. And as he says, what's his 3 C's? Collaboration that he always talks about in every speech?
I don't know.
Cooperation.
Yeah.
Come on.
I like his joke about the payphone calling heaven.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it quite a few times.
Henry's got some good ones now.
He does.
I mean, is there anything that stuck out to you on his budget or on the speech?
During the speech, I'll tell you one of the biggest things for me was, Sheriff Max Dorsey, just south of us, Chester County.
Yep, stopped by here and visited with us a month or so ago.
And he is, born and raised in Chester County and was appointed as sheriff after some corruption.
Yeah.
Has come in, kind of cleaned up Chester County. But Henry recognized the SROs that stepped up and ran to protecting our children. Whenever we had a guy literally jerk a special needs kid out of a class.
Yeah.
And they were able to stop him, so he recognized them. That was huge. I'm a big fan of Max.
Yeah.
Always have been. Since the first time I met him. I guess it was right whenever his first election he was running.
Right.
Was whenever I met him. But that was huge. As far as everything else, I don't want to say it was fluff. It was, talking about accomplishments, but most of it we know.
Yeah.
And of course, whenever he does this State of the State, he gives out his executive budget for this year. I still have not been through the entire binder yet to see where everything is.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff that I sort of skimmed it a little bit. I look at a lot of the stuff that's related with healthcare as far as health and human services, things of that nature. One thing that is going to be problematic that just came off the page is the 150 plus million for our Department of Commerce. There's no way of getting around that.
It's going to be spun that it's going to Scout.
Yep, that's right. So
why is Commerce handling development?
If you don't know, I don't know. And I didn't vote for that. I had to recuse myself because at the time we were bidding on some of that work.
Perfect teeth over here.
And so anyway, the way that Scout development worked out was the Department of Commerce effectively managed the site work, the civil work.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of cost overruns. And now I haven't dug into the cost overruns. In the construction industry, we call those change orders. And so if, like, for instance, if you have a bid for a site package, and let's just say a project of that size, let's say the site work is, and again, I'm throwing out just a number, $100 million. I'm not saying it was $100 million, but for this example.
And a lot of that's building roads, infrastructure.
Yep. Well, a lot of it's your initial land clearing, your environmental controls, which also include digging of your storm basins, temporary and permanent.
Removing box turtles.
Your rock outlets, like all the diversion ditching, a lot of things to control water so you don't have off-site impacts and those types of things. Here's one easy example of a change order. If you go to dig, say, the very first storm basin in the first, say, 50-acre block, and you hit rock, that's not covered in the contract.
Right.
Right? You have a rock number of, let's just say, $400 a cubic yard of excavated rock to get the rock out of there so you can dig your storm basin. So in those types of scenarios, that is one scenario where you can have what in the construction world is called a change order.
And the Panthers found that out why we are called Rock Hill once they started trying to build.
So I haven't dug into the overruns. I just saw it on the executive budget that got passed out in our offices this past week in preparation for the State of the State. So I'm interested to see the itemized of what the substance of the cost overruns.
Yeah.
I mean, that is our duty, right? We're representing our districts. And if we're going to have to fund $150 million cost overrun for a Scout project that Department of Commerce was overseeing, like what you asked initially when we started talking about this, why did we structure the Department of Commerce to effectively be a general, a GC?
Was that so we don't hand the money to a private company?
There's got to be some legitimate reasons. I don't know if they were well thought out or not. I don't know if we've ever used this model before on larger economic development projects. So those are just some questions that should be asked.
Yeah, but politically, for every representative that has to go through this, it doesn't matter whether it's something that, we could be held liable for. It's a hard thing to sit there and say, we're going to give another $150 million to something that was as controversial as the Scout deal.
Right. And another layer to this whole situation in this debate, and I'm sure this is how some will frame it, is this money is going to Scout, and Scout just took us for a ride. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate, and located their corporate headquarters in Charlotte.
I think we know who's running the Freedom Caucus's social media campaign now.
So you have
the moving of the corporate headquarters to Charlotte, although it wasn't part of the contract.
Right. And so what I'm saying is Scout didn't win any fans.
Right.
By, wait a minute, you got a great package here in South Carolina to locate your manufacturing facilities here. You then go north of our border to put your C-suite folks in North Carolina. And again...
But all the executives are going to live in Fort Mill.
So it's just going to be, forecasting out a little bit when we have budget week. If that makes it into our House budget, that's something that the budget writers and folks on Ways and Means are going to have to talk about, discuss, debate in subcommittee and committee before it gets to the floor, because they better be prepared for questions like that.
Yeah.
Because I'll have them, you'll have them, and I'm sure other folks will have them. So that was just one of the things that I thought that I might as well go ahead and start talking about.
I'll be happy to move on from the question, what is a woman? So with that, the next thing I'm
about to say, yeah. I would say the legislative highlight of the week that we did on the floor was passing the Protecting Girls' Spaces bill. And this is something, the two listeners may know, I'm comfortable talking like this.
Yeah.
Just me and you.
You don't like going to the well.
Kicking around. Yeah.
It feels like grandstanding to you. And you are one that likes to work, I don't want to say behind the scenes because I don't want somebody getting the wrong impression, but you could care less about getting notoriety for doing something.
100%.
You'd prefer not to.
I do not want people knowing my name.
Yes.
Except for when it comes to election day in Rock Hill. But yeah, so I was asked by some in the body, hey, would you please just get up there and tell your story? Because we've been hearing a lot that this is legislation in search of a problem. We are going to be discriminating against kids who are experiencing some gender identity issues or some sexuality issues. We are going to be stigmatizing folks who are dealing with mental health issues, whatever you want to frame it as.
Or some's going to think that it's politics and not true policy.
Yeah, correct. And so I wanted to get up there and try to explain to folks this does happen, whether you hear about it or not in your district. If you don't hear about it, great. That means your locals are taking care of some things, hopefully, to where it never rises to a boiling point at a school, right? And so all the kids are safe and feel safe and comfortable. But it does happen. I'm not saying it's rampant, but it does happen. We had it happen here locally. My daughter explained the situation that was going on in her school, and I tried to quietly address it. And so I told that story of how that occurred here locally, and I told how we got the proviso in. And that's another thing for the two listeners to consider is a lot of the folks who were against this bill, and I think there was maybe 19.
They've been voting for it for the past 2-3 years in the proviso.
Right. And so and also the folks who voted against it went to the well this past week and talked about how there was going to be a rise in hate crimes. There was going to be a rise in bullying, and there was going to be all these things because of what this bill was going to do. And so I had to step up and say, guys, this has been in effect law for the past 2 years. Please explain to me how many cases of hate crimes against transgender or anyone who have some gender identity issues. Like, think about that. And so I just wanted to clarify the situation.
That doesn't signal fear, though.
Well, so anyway, I thought I tried to deliver a little bit of common sense. But then also, you got to consider the minority, the 1% or the 0.5% of the student population that are dealing with these real issues.
But your rights in whenever they start infringing upon others.
And let's figure that out, right? We have to consider all, but you don't make policy based on 0.5% of the population.
Yeah.
You make good public policy based on the larger percentage of folks. And so while still considering the minority, right? And so hopefully I got that across. I don't know. I didn't have anything prepared, no remarks. I just, got up.
K through 12 in college.
Yeah. And overnight stays.
Yeah. And overnight stays was important because we had situations where schools are going off on a trip, and then all of a sudden you've got a boy that's being able to stay with the girls.
Right.
And parents finding out like, what?
Yeah.
Why did this happen?
And so for folks who, don't get into politics and federal district court decisions and read them thoroughly, like most of us, let me give you a quick explanation. School districts cannot effectuate a policy that's not based on the state legislature giving a legislative foundation to regulations or policies. And that's what the court case And if you want to look it up, I believe it was Grimm. Gavin Grimm was a student dealing with gender identity issues in Gloucester County, Virginia.
Yeah.
This is where this case originated. That is the federal Fourth Circuit. That federal court said by not allowing a transgender who was a biological male into a female bathroom, it said that it was discriminatory. Right, whether it was Title IX, equal protections.
This was during the woke years.
14th Amendment, whatever.
Yeah.
And so in that decision, it said that school board didn't have a legislative foundation for the policy, and basically gave us a pathway for cases like this to survive a court challenge, right? Because if you have legislative foundation, then you can effectuate policy on a local level. And so I think that's my hope, right? We now have sort of taken the court's guidance, given our schools and school districts legislative foundation, once the Senate and the governor, Senate passes, the governor signs it, to where our
Senate will pass.
So our school districts can then make their own local policy and handle those things on a local level. And that's what I was talking about in my speech of, folks, let's use some common sense that allows our locals to extend common courtesies for all students.
It was the longest that I've ever heard you speak from the well.
I try to keep them short and sweet.
And you could tell. You were just like, I don't want to do this, but
yeah, I know.
Let me explain where this came from.
Yep. So yeah, I thought all went well. I think that passed like 96-19. Yeah. And it was pretty much, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty much Dems that voted against it.
Yeah. And not all.
Right.
You know, I did one Dem I did notice, like Jason Luck. He's a Democrat. He did not vote for it. I think there's about 30 some odd Dems in the House, and only 19 voted against this bill. So good win for South Carolina.
And this was, let's make no mistake about it, like we've said before, this is not about harming someone, targeting someone.
No.
This isn't just about the transgender community. This is more in place for those that are taking advantage of that law that might be creepers. And I think it was brought up, was it Bamberg or was it Rutherford that called it the pecker police? They got to start watching now.
I thought that was Tommy Pope.
Maybe it was. I don't know. But other than that, and I'll tell you, one of the things I did love while this bill was going through committee, Travis Moore sitting there, and someone says that, you know, when are y'all going to start doing things to really protect children? Whenever people oppose that you're doing something, they often complain about, well, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing this? Or what are you really doing?
Oh, yeah.
And then Travis Moore just hammered back with all the bills that we've done to protect children. He's like, and I've personally led those through.
Yeah, correct.
So is that what you're talking about? Is, you know, silence. Like I love it whenever someone is just speaking emotionally, trying to find a way or trying to make it appear like you don't care.
Yeah, right.
And that's, under no circumstances, this, whether left or right, regardless of where you voted on this, it's not a situation that you didn't care.
Yeah, and Travis Moore has built a political resume of taking on some of the tough issues to protect children.
Man, I'll tell you.
Whether it's online safety, whether it's this one. I mean, so
I couldn't get some of the recognition with the bills and stuff that I do without Travis's leadership. Yeah. Because he is the attorney that can sit there and argue, and I'm the guy who's just going off the emotion and saying this is what it's for. Yeah, but Travis is that guy that can sit there and break it down. Last year, whenever I was testifying in D.C. and the bill came through, I was so proud of the way not only Travis did, Micah got up there as well.
Yeah.
You know, defending the bill. And while we can sit here and we will bash attorneys from here time to time, but they are certainly needed within the lawmaking process.
100%. So yeah, good win this week. And it was a short week due to the ice and all that kind of stuff. So,
it was.
I was happy that did not get further delayed. Right, we stayed in Thursday, worked with a lot of members to try to streamline the amendments because we were getting a lot of amendments coming in. And so we had to call closure on that. So, but yeah,
I still
good
came
win.
in and worked on Tuesday,
Yeah,
which was good because I'd
I as
already
well.
came in before they kind of canceled everything. Before
Yep.
I knew, I thought I had committee work, and then we had the caucus event that night.
Yeah.
And I had to leave it early and jump on a Zoom call with the Mothers Against Media Addiction. They had a national call.
Oh yeah.
And I recorded it from within the van. Now, this is funny
That's right.
because the van has Wi-Fi, and I'm like, whoa, I've got a vehicle that has Wi-Fi. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I can sit on my computer and sit here and work and handle this call. Well, it's an hour-long call. 20 minutes into it, everybody's screen freezes. I can't figure out what's going on. It pops up. You have used up all your Verizon data. I was like, crap. So there is no longer Wi-Fi in the van.
Yeah. Calling the audible.
Yeah.
So last but not least, just in this opening segment, we wanted to talk about the Senate pay raise from last year that made it into our budget. Subsequent lawsuit from our very own Senator Wes Clymer. Supreme Court came and found that it was unconstitutional to give yourself a pay raise, which some of us, tried to talk some sense into folks, but, to no avail. No, I'm just kidding. And so anyway, long story short, the Senate had to do things and put the back pay in the bill because the Supreme Court said, actually, y'all get in-district money that by the letter of the law, you shouldn't be getting either. So since, August?
But whenever we ran, that was part of it.
Yeah, correct.
So it's not like this was, and the narrative will be, they chose to raise their pay. No,
Right.
this is what, regardless of us.
We got pay taken away.
Yeah, there was pay taken away due to that ruling. So this just reinstates the base that was there before
The election from the last
Yes.
time. Yeah, so basically we are back to, I guess,
the $1,000
full
per
compensation
month.
that we thought we were going to get when we ran.
Yeah, it's $1,000 a month in district expenses.
Yep.
And if you don't write it off, then it's counted as income.
Yeah, but if the one takeaway I would have is we should take a serious look at how elected officials are compensated, right? Because it did bring up a lot of, and maybe we didn't talk about this on the floor because this was a Senate pay raise. This was a Senate change to the budget. But we should have serious conversations about, do we need to look at the compensation of the General Assembly, right? Because the arguments that I heard during this pay raise increase that the Senate stuck in last year was, hey, we get paid, whatever it is, $20,000 or whatever, give or take, and that doesn't allow for folks of moderate income or low income to run
It doesn't
for
matter.
office.
The average man.
Right.
I mean, still, with what we're getting paid right now, the average, and
The
I think
average
it's one of the
person
biggest
cannot-
problems.
Yeah,
That our government is set up for only the rich to represent.
correct.
If
So
you're not wealthy enough to be able to go without working essentially for 6 months, how are you going to serve?
right, and I think that argument has some merit that we should seriously consider and talk about. But we should not just talk about it in Columbia. We should come back and have some town halls with our districts. We should talk to our people about this. What do our people think? What do you think is fair compensation? I think, man, folks,
Let's start doing more town halls.
I
want to talk.
I would host that.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear what the average voter thinks about part-time work of legislators. And again, we say part-time, but that would be a good subject to talk about and say, I'll tell you what part-time legislating looks like. You know what I mean?
Look at my phone at 11 p.m.
Because legally we're in session January to June for the average. But you and I were, I don't know how many ad hocs you were on. I was on 3,
Yeah.
right?
I was on just about every one of them.
You were on insurance, DOT.
Insurance, DOT. Yeah,
I was
that
on
was the 2 big ones.
I was on PBM, DOT, and DJJ. And that DOT one was a serious, because that was
Yeah.
a big issue, right? We ran all over the state.
I had to miss quite a few of them.
And again, it isn't just January to June's the point. So I think we should have some conversations about it. I don't disagree that we need to look at the compensation of House members and Senate members, but let's just do it more of in a transparent, responsible way.
I would love some of the floor rules keep the discussion from really happening the way that it should. Like I would love to just hear just the way we talk.
Yeah.
And go back and forth.
Yeah.
But yet sometimes those rules kind of delay it because of the grandstanding. And if you want to see grandstanding, go and look at just this week. You could see so many people just trying to get their clips for their social media.
Oh, right.
Based on the protecting girls' spaces.
Yeah.
You know?
And here's one thing I will say to that. A lot of folks go on social media and wherever they can talk about whatever their promises are to their people, they check this off as a promises kept, right? Type thing. And so they do want to get to the well and get some of that airtime. And I'm not blaming them. That's part of what comes with it. I get it. But sometimes I wish we could do less of that and more of the work. But, world ain't perfect.
It'd be like that sometimes.
One more thing. DJJ concluded some work, the short-term work this week. We did have a committee on Thursday. There's going to be some legislation submitted here next week and then the following week on some of the short-term reforms we're trying to implement. So I will continue to update our 2 listeners on the progress that ad hoc committee makes.
Yep. And we still had a few committee meetings. I had 2 LCI subcommittee meetings. I got vocal on and a regs meeting this week. But, within regs, I'll give you an example. There is a bill proposed that if you have been an auctioneer, first of all, I think it's stupid that we are even licensing auctioneers. But at the same time.
What did Randy Liggins say about it?
Well, it came through his committee, and I kind of let him lead it, but he wasn't there for the full committee because he had another committee meeting.
Okay.
So whenever it came up, my argument was they were saying that you shouldn't have to do continuing education credits if you've been, I think it was 25 years in the industry or you're 65 years or older. Kind of defeats the whole purpose of continuing ed. Like imagine you've been doing auctions for at least 25 years, all of a sudden online auctions becomes a thing. So you're telling me you don't have to do continuing ed to catch up with whatever those guidelines are just because you aged out, which is dumb to me. So I voted against that. I was in the minority, of course. It still will come out. And then in LCI, Blake Sanders, there was a bill to stop municipalities from banning certain sightings on commercial residential homes.
Okay.
Which we know cities do this to protect the integrity or the property value to say, seats taken, we don't want you here. But the problem is it's raising property cost. And we talk about affordable housing. You can't talk about affordable housing out of one side of your mouth and then implement all these rules and regulations on minimum square footage. It's got to be brick facing,
Yeah, or a certain percentage, 80% brick.
But you can't put all these rules and regulations in place and still talk about affordable housing. That bill will not move forward because it violates home rule, which gives local governments more power, which firm believer of government works best closest to the people. But at the same time, whenever it oversteps, anytime government gets involved, cost is going to rise. Right?
Imagine that. Well, and like you were just talking about the affordability issue when it comes to housing, not just in housing, but I think it all goes back to, trust in the actions, not in the words.
Yes.
So look at what they do.
Well, and we had one more big bill that it's kind of funny because Gary Brewer sent me a text after I asked the question. He's like, who told you to ask that question?
Was this about arbitrage?
Yeah, arbitrage. I know how to spell it now, Gary. But no, while sitting on county council.
Now, again, for our 2 listeners, this is Representative Gary Brewer that eats bananas with the spoon.
That eats the bananas with the spoon. I got my payback, so now it's your payback coming up. But no, we're sitting in committee, and what it was saying was that municipalities can sell their water sewer system to a private company based on the assessment that's given But that private company, and my problem becomes, I do think that municipalities should be able to, but if it's already paid off through taxpayers, then you sell it to someone else, and then they can raise the rates to justify the
homeowners
sale.
get checks. Business owners get
No, the city just gets it, right? But that becomes an issue.
Well, that sounds like PBMs, man. What are we doing?
Well, we also had the situation with Blue Granite.
Oh, yeah.
We had to take care of that through condemnation. And actually, Joel Hamilton educated me on the whole Blue Granite situation. That was a fiasco, but he had to really educate me on it whenever I was sitting on county council.
Right.
And so going through that, I just raised the question. So what stops a municipality from going through condemnation, taking the system, and then turning around and selling it and flipping it? What's the difference there?
What was the answer?
Arbitrage. No, we need arbitrage language in there. And I forget what the simple term, what was arbitrage? Something to do with gambling. I should know it, right?
Oh, boy. All right, folks, we'll be back. This episode of Pints of Politics is brought to you by Comer Distributing. Comer Distributing Company is a wholesale beer distributor located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 1971, Comer is a family-owned business that distributes beer and other beverages to York, Chester, Fairfield, Lancaster, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties. What was that, a Duffy song?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, he kind of changed the light. Nah, I just thought it was...
Yeah,
It's got a good beat.
Yeah. A lot better than that opener we had. But hey, we talked about this winter weather coming in for the second weekend in a row. We'd be remiss without thanking our utility partners.
Yes.
I know here locally, York Electric, City of Rock Hill, Duke Energy, Santee Cooper, Dominion in the Midlands and towards the coast.
York Electric Co-op.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ready to go.
Yeah,
the problems that we had getting them back on quickly.
Yeah, I think Helene sort of caught everybody napping a little. And usually when that happens, you want to be prepared for sure for the next events, right? And that's hard, right? Because you want to be fiscally responsible and not waste money if you don't think there's a high probability of actually having a storm impact your area. But
you don't want to end up like the mayor of New Orleans.
But you also want to be prepared.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for all those folks and their contracting partners for helping us get all back online. I do know that Broad River up in the upstate around Oconee, Pickens.
The Blue Ridge area.
Yeah. Got walloped. They got it the worst. And they're probably going to get it, I would think, the worst again.
I think the coast is getting more. They got a winter storm warning for Murdaugh country down there in Hampton.
Hey, but that does bring up a good point. The further south you get, the less
prepared.
Yeah, prepared.
It's kind of like we are whenever a hurricane comes up this fall.
Right. You're like, what the hell? I thought we had a deal.
Yeah. Y'all keep that on the coast.
So anyway.
In Charleston, y'all can keep y'all's earthquakes too. I know it's going a little bit into Columbia, but we don't want them up here.
Wanted to give you some progress updates. We have been talking and we have been working on the DOT ad hoc. As members, we've been talking about some of the listening and some of the local input we've got. We did get a bill. That bill did get filed this week. Mm-hmm. So look forward to that. That is, I believe, being referred to the Transportation Committee in Ways and Means. So Heather Crawford was co-chair of the DOT ad hoc committee. She is also the subcommittee chair of the Ways and Means Transportation Subcommittee. So the good thing about that is there's going to be some continuity, and she's not going to have to play a lot of catch up because she's well aware of everything that's been going on in that ad hoc committee. So I did sign on as a sponsor. Again, I look at this.
I did as well.
This DOT bill, while it's a good step in the right direction, there are some things I'd like to change. I know we went back and forth, the committee did, about doing away with a commission, which I was in favor of. It did get put back in on the bill, but we restructured some authority. which again, I think is a compromise, but I still hope that the subcommittee and then maybe Ways and Means Committee reconsiders the commission.
Well, it's also important. We've said it before. You could not expect a perfect bill to pass out of one body without giving the other body something to take a win on, or else they're not going to take it up.
Yeah.
So there could be some changes that could come from the Senate side.
Yeah.
And we can sit here and try to make it as perfect as we want on the House, but we've got to also let it go through the Senate. And then concur or make changes from there.
This is just a starting point.
Yes.
And that's what, again, there were some folks who were probably more passionate than I was about speaking out about getting rid of the commission. And so we'll see where that goes.
And I like the idea that was presented, not concurrency, but the idea of giving. So what?
Go ahead.
Of giving the municipalities, the local cities, if they take over the state roads within their city district, then they have the option to put it before the people for a penny sales
local referendum
increase.
To get a penny.
Yes.
Yep. So folks, here in York County, we do have a pennies for progress. It's an additional 1 cent.
We were the first to perfect it.
Sales tax used for our roads. I think, what is it?
Patrick Hamilton does a great job with ours. 1 cent.
And 25% of that money raised has to go to state roads.
Yes.
And what Guffey was saying there is the DOT within this bill, if we were to pass it and we get signed into law, our DOT has graded all state roads as essential and non-essential. And what the DOT in this bill proposes is that the locals have the option of taking back over those non-essential state roads. And if they are willing...
Which that's the number one thing we could do to improve DOT.
Correct.
Is get the municipalities and the counties to start taking over some of these roads.
Yep, that's right. And let me give you an example of a non-essential road. A lot of these neighborhoods, 1, 2, 3 street type neighborhoods, those would be considered a non-essential road. That should not be a state road. And so a lot of the road mileage that it currently is a DOT's responsibility is some of these neighborhood roads. So, and if the municipalities and local governments were agree to take on some of these non-essential roads from the state, that municipality or that local government has the option to put it on a local referendum to let the people vote on an additional penny sales tax to fund roads.
Yeah.
So that's the long version.
Hey, as long as it makes sense. I mean, look, we want government closer to the people.
Yeah.
Let them handle it. Let their people decide whether they want to pay the penny. Like, I know that was a big argument in Greenville County.
Yes.
Right? For York County, it has been great. Mm-hmm. Did we have our hiccups? Pennies too was a disaster.
Yeah.
From my understanding. And we still had some roads up until the last referendum that we were still fixing, such as Mount Gallant, going down to India Hook. But now that's being taken care of. We had the situation with the widening of roads and people trying to stop it. So it's a little bit behind. Yep. But if we're waiting on DOT to do all of this work, I mean, that's a difficult task. But that brings me, should we even debate this? Is it more important to, A, handle more of the maintenance, make sure our roads are smooth, everything's running smoothly, but with us growing so fast, and I think that's some of the problems that we had. You hear people say our bridges are 30 years overdue. Yeah. I think we've grown so fast that DOT's having to build so many new roads that they can't focus on the expansion and repair it.
Yeah, like the older roads, right?
Yes.
That aging infrastructure is going into disrepair because the growth is so explosive, right?
Right.
And so, and again, folks, if you think about it, the larger government, for instance, the larger the workforce to operate said government. Same thing with DOT. And I in that example, I'm using them as the government. The larger the state system is, the more folks we have to employ, trucks, equipment, all that kind of stuff. So
I mean, the larger the government is, the more it's like communism. Just think of it that way.
So, but I also like the idea. One thing I took away from this DOT roadshow when we went around the state was road infrastructure in general. It's going to take a lot of collaboration from the state, county, and municipal governments.
Yeah.
Right? And for too long, we've just kicked this can down the road. We de-linked zoning and local issues in regards to residential and business development, where you got a lot of coastal development of 2,000 homes, but they're not considering the impact on the infrastructure, because guess who has to maintain it? The state.
But at the same time, if we say the state has the right to deny projects based on what they can handle at the time, well, then you get into concurrency, to where you are now slowing down and adding more red tape in order to get a home built that's going to cost more money.
Yeah.
And it's going to take longer because of the delays. Now you're waiting. So ultimately, and I'm a firm believer, the less government, the better.
Right.
Although I do think that our DOT is in good hands right now. I think it is heading in the right direction, as much as people want to complain, just like people were complaining about our judicial system.
Yep.
And saying how corrupt it is. Well, this is the first year our changes have come into place. You don't even know how it is. Yeah.
But before we get on to the judicial stuff that transpired this week, I want to put a last note on the DOT. One important thing also was the environmental, the NEPA, right? Where, folks, anytime you have road projects, whether it's widening or new roads, you have to go through an environmental impact study. And a lot of those things require federal review, federal sort of oversight, stamping approval, and then it comes back. What this bill does is it assumes the exposure, I guess you would call it, to that NEPA review. It stays within the state. We assume the responsibility if something were to go wrong. And that the net effect of that, assuming of that federal responsibility, is we can get projects permitted faster, get it out of that design phase to where
we can hide the box turtles instead of letting people. No,
so we can start building faster and getting these projects completed faster to hopefully keep up with the growth of the state. So,
yeah.
But yeah, another
government's never going to move as fast.
Yeah. So you jumped the shark a little bit on the judicial.
Yes.
Again, that has been a hot button issue. And again, we were all fans of judicial reform when we first got in. This thing of sort of restructuring the membership of the judicial merit.
The governor spoke about that as well.
And so this bill that, do you know where it's at on the House side? Is it in full committee now?
I think it's in full. I think it already went through. Yeah,
it's either in full being debated or they passed it out. I can't remember, but this new reform says, hey, the JMSC, there's no more Senate appointees, there's no more House appointees, they're governor appointees. And so the executive branch now is the JMSC. That is, candidates apply. That new JMSC, that's all governor appointees, are the filter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then those candidates that are deemed qualified come out of that filter, and we vote on them, ultimately.
That's something that, I'm on the bit. I could really care less how JMSC is structured. I view it as inconsequential.
I think for me, it's more of just a separation of powers issue, right?
Yeah.
And so,
but as we saw what happened in our 16th Circuit last year, another power tries to step in and control things.
Yeah.
Until they run up against us York County boys. Right. But at the same time.
Wow, what a pleasant experience that was.
So pleasant.
Don't make me do it.
You just made me think of Joe Dirt all over again. Sorry.
But yeah, folks, this does bring up some fundamental questions about what is the best way to elect judges, right? Because, again, as we talked about in the last episode, I thought Weston Newton, the chair of our Judiciary Committee over in the House, did a good job explaining it. Is a lot of this judicial corruption, and again, I will
It's the perception.
I will say the Alec Murdaugh case was taken advantage of, right? Folks who wanted to create this narrative that all of our judges are corrupt and downright criminal, they took advantage of that situation and spun it to how they wanted to tell the tale. And I think Chairman Newton did a good job of at least bringing that to the committee's attention of saying, look, guys, this may not even be reality, but it is the perception, right? And so we do need to address that. And if folks aren't confident in the judiciary or the judicial branch, we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do to reassure South Carolinians that our judges are beyond reproach.
But if we are giving the governor more power, as we're talking about, what is the most broken part of our judicial system? It's magistrates. I mean, seriously, the amount of cases that they're handling, the holdover where senators will hold over instead of appointing them, and it's like you feel like if you go against them, then you're going to be out of a job. Ultimately, that should be the governor making that decision. But the way it really works is whoever the senator suggests, that's who gets
in holdover status.
Put over. Yeah.
Are you suggesting that the senators are corrupt?
No, well, I'm saying whenever we start talking about the lawyer legislator,
hey, why don't we start this new narrative?
Yeah, no, but in our judicial reform bill, we made the changes on the House side.
Yeah,
the Senate side did not keep in the changes for magistrates because that's a power that they have, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's corrupt, but whenever we talk about perception, that's certainly, and we had situations with senators that are no longer there.
Yeah.
In those situations.
Hey, elections do have consequences.
Yeah.
Hooray. All right, so what about, but that has been talked about, right? Our magistrates, I thought I heard a bill just this week of
you gotta be an attorney.
Yeah, an attorney.
I mean, I think
we'll see.
Currently, our governor can make that decision.
Yeah.
Say, you don't have a law degree, I'm not appointing you.
Yeah, right.
I don't see how if you're governor, you can complain about magistrates. You have the power. You can make that decision.
Or does he?
Should, constitutionally.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right?
So that is, in a nutshell, the summary of the week. There's a lot of other things going on, but,
we had my Joe Dirt moment, the birthday.
Yeah.
The Porch Caucus guys getting up and...
Yeah, and so you're always fortunate your birthday falls within the legislative
session. That's the only reason you did the Gary Brewer eating the banana with the spoon thing is because you knew my birthday was coming up.
Hey, and look, Gary talks about trying to get us paid back for things.
Yeah.
Representative Brewer, no.
Quit running from the truth, Gary.
I was actually going to say, look, all the crap that we get from Brewer on a daily basis, we have paid you back, brother.
Yeah.
We are now even.
Yeah, I can go with that.
So anyway, looking ahead for next week, I know on my calendar down in Columbia, I'm going to have a full 3M committee on Tuesday afternoon if the weather doesn't impact our schedule. That full committee will take up the parental rights that had a day-long subcommittee devoted to it.
Which has a little bit of pushback on it, but...
As expected.
Yep.
When we passed the student privacy bill this past week, it's very similar. There's some social components to it. And I think what we all have to understand is when we have minors, folks under the age of 18, legally, I'm using that term, but, when we have our children... who are experiencing difficulty, whether it's picked up by a teacher in school or a guidance counselor or maybe the family doctor. This bill basically says that it's vitally important and a fundamental right of a parent to be notified, right, and communicated. Because, the saying it takes a village, it truly does, but parents are in that village, right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm boiling it down, but that's basically the way I feel about it. And I asked medical professionals who came up and spoke against the bill, I've talked to some educators, same thing. And I said, folks, I totally agree with you that, for example, there's a 14 or 15-year-old who is struggling with the question of, am I straight or am I gay? That's a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
A parent may not want to be a part of the challenge that their kid is dealing with, but to shut them out and not communicate with them is not the answer, right?
I don't know. Let me ask you this, and I never really thought about it until I started thinking about the situations that I deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That first 2024, 2025, I'm dealing with numerous calls a day of kids that are being sextorted.
Yeah.
Now, if I have a 16-year-old kid that's calling me, they're calling me for help. Yep. My number one job is to try to convince them to go to their parents, to go to law enforcement.
Right.
And I'm grateful that many of the parents are the ones that call me now. But at that time period, does that mean now that I have a legal obligation to reach out and call the parents?
Are you their doctor?
No, I'm not their doctor.
Okay.
I'm saying...
This bill pertains...
But this will also be teachers.
K through 12.
Yeah.
And medical.
Yeah. I mean, but that...
And again...
I'm just looking at it as that way. Let's say you've got a coach or somebody that you really respect, and this happened. Does that now remove the ability for that teen to feel like they could come to an adult for some advice, as long as that advice with the adult is trying to get you to go to your parents?
Right.
Or is it so black and white that if we looked at these laws by black and white, that 16-year-old sent child pornography? So now I got to go and inform law enforcement? Are we making it that black and white?
This does not say you have to bring in law enforcement. It's not suggesting
no,
that.
But by law,
stating that at all. No, by what law? Current law?
Oh, let's pull it up.
No, I'm saying
if you knew someone sending child pornography and you don't report it, couldn't you be charged?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah,
but that's not what this bill deals
We need
with.
to ask RJ's friends. Sorry.
No. But I mean, all good points. That's not this bill.
Okay.
This bill does not address anything like that. This bill addresses like the instance I brought up of someone.
This is the ADF version, right? To help fight it in court if there's an issue.
Yes. So this is just strengthening parental rights in K through 12, and when it comes to medical decisions.
And I agree with that. Yeah. I'm just saying I'm trying to look at it from all sides.
No, me too.
And play the devil's advocate here.
And I've had
in case this situation happens.
Yeah.
Like I never thought about the whole lawsuit against teachers,
right,
so to say. But whenever Davey Hyatt brought up a good point whenever we were discussing before. If a girl shows up and she's wearing a baseball cap, at what point does that teacher have to say, well, this is not just being a tomboy. This person's trying to identify as a boy. Now I got to go notify parents and all of this, or else I could get sued.
Right.
And
that's sort of the thing of trying to encourage this collaboration. And I think a lot of this was addressed in the Help Not Harm bill.
Okay.
That we passed last session. But this is further strengthening that there's a fundamental right that parents have to be communicated with when there is...
Especially doctors.
Yeah. Where, when a teacher observes some behavior, the parents need to be involved, not shut out of it, right? And again, there's a lot
There should be no circumstance on shutting the parents out. And I believe it's one of those situations where we had bad actors that were doing so.
And look, offline, I had a lot of conversations with folks about teenagers dealing with their sexuality.
Yeah.
And what they call the outing provision. And, and again, they told me all these, whether it was hypotheticals or they were anecdotal stories of that really happened where they don't want, say, a 14, 15-year-old who the parents doesn't know is gay, but the 14 or 15-year-old thinks or says they're gay.
Yeah. How
do you create the environment with a teacher, someone in the medical profession, like a social worker or somebody who can help round out a conversation that includes the student, the parent, medical professionals, and also maybe an educator, right? And so I think, my view of this bill is this should encourage collaborations to create a village that supports the child.
The ultimate goal.
Whether the child is struggling with whatever, at no point should parents be kept out, right? And again,
unless they are the problem.
That is correct. And
the
bill
law enforcement has to
accommodates.
get involved.
Yeah, and the bill accommodates for situations like that. So but again, like this discussion demonstrates, this is a complicated, nuanced issue.
And I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I don't think I've ever spoke out against the bill, but as we were talking about it
Brandon
earlier,
Guffey against parents.
No, it's just one of those things I started thinking about. Okay, it's common sense to say this is the way it should be.
Yep.
But then you have to put yourself in a real world situation, and then you have to ask yourself,
yep. And that's,
am I committing a crime now because I did this?
And those types of questions got brought up in the subcommittee, and they're all valid. They have merit, right? And I
didn't mean to go too Bamberg on you.
No, and I got a lot of questions like that, and they all said, "Hey, not every dad would respond that way." Right. I'm like, whoa. I'm not saying I'm a perfect dad. All I am saying is,
it's still your child,
right?
Regardless.
At the end of the day, that's my child.
Yeah.
My treasure, but also my responsibility.
Right.
And I have to be included. That's all I'm saying. And I even asked them, I'm like, look.
It's just government's way of wanting to take over your kids.
There's an argument to be made. Maybe you should write about that in your Substack.
Oh, goodness. Substack.
So speaking of writing, how's the book coming along?
I submitted my first draft.
Yeah. I saw the Bible thick manuscript you were carrying around the coffee shop.
So now I've got to go back through it, and I've got to do the edits.
Hey, AI, produce me an image of Brandon Guffey walking around a coffee shop with his manuscript.
I was just sitting on the couch enjoying it, trying to read through it. I didn't even get a lot of it done just because I ended up trying to catch up on emails. But, yes, I'm having to read through it. I've got about a month for that. Yeah. So now we're in the process of picking cover, getting, who's going to write I don't want to say endorsements. Who's going to be able to read it?
You need me to write you a foreword?
Yeah.
I've
got the foreword.
Thanks, Guffey.
Yeah. I wrote it myself and just put your name on it.
I was going to have AI do it anyway.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I was gonna bash north of the river, but I'll stay safe.
Hey, and this is a Friday afternoon going into an evening. It's always good when you go to your local coffee shop. You and I both go to around our districts to have coffee and meetings and
7:45.
And and literally, I'm actually having a conversation regarding healthcare with a local medical professional north of the river, by the way. And but anyway, we're having some thoughtful discussions, and my back's to the door. Every time I hear the door close, I turn and look, and there's a few of my friends, in line, ready to get coffee, and I see you and another gentleman. I was like, hey, just be prepared. Probably all of these guys are going to come over here. I'm going to have to introduce you. So, and she's like, that's fine. I'm friendly.
It was nice.
That's my week next week, really, in a nutshell. It's going to be full committee and 3M and parental rights, and then I'm sure if we can get it passed out, which I'm hopeful that we will be able to, I'll be on the floor.
Yeah.
Having these conversations.
You'll be behind that well a little bit more.
Yeah.
But answering more questions this time, right?
So what about you? Have you even had a chance to look ahead?
So I know I'll have an LCI coming up along with regs, but
y'all have the insurance reform, right? That y'all been tackling?
For LCI, yeah. I'm not on that committee.
I saw Gagnon had his subcommittee. Was it Wednesday or so? He had 3 testimonies given.
I had back-to-back LCI, so I was not following other committees at all last week.
You know what I do? I always have, I sort of put notifications on certain bills, and so I'll watch.
Then I notify you to let you know.
So
folks, y'all watch some videos.
Yeah, I do. So, folks, if you do have an interest in the bill, you can get the South Carolina State House app, and
Just have it pop up to notify you whenever something's coming up.
That's correct.
Any changes with it.
So, yeah.
And then
if you do want to follow the State House just in general, I suggest downloading the app, finding some, if you have some bills that you want to be alerted on, if they have a subcommittee hearing or a committee hearing or whatever the status is, you can always follow that bill. If you want to follow this show, which I sent out.
PintsandPolitics.show.
Yep.
Is the best way to do it.
Yep. Also on all the platforms now. What are we on?
Yes.
TikTok, MySpace, Facebook, YouTube. Follow, subscribe, like.
Are we linking to your personal Grindr account?
You can follow me at.
Do not look that up if you don't know what it is.
Follow me at. I'm trying to push through it. Oh God.
HeathSessions.com or VoteGuffey.com.
Yep, that's right.
And then keep following. Leave us reviews, please.
Yeah,
we're watching our organic views, listens go up. But if you are listening to the podcast and you get, all the way to the end.
Yep.
Listen to that last 30 seconds so it counts as a complete listen.
Yeah.
Please, that would be helpful too.
Yeah. Or if you're just going to fast forward to it. Listen to the last 30 seconds.
Sure.
Works both ways. Hey, thanks again, Comer Distributing, for the offering this week. Carolina Blonde out of Foothills Brewing.
It's good.
Good, light, crisp beer.
Yep.
Take it to the bank. It's like Guffey's favorite, Bud Light. Make it a comeback. Go check out that latest Budweiser commercial, man.
I don't know if it's real, if it's just a...
Leonard Skinnerd and Bald Eagles.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It's America.
Yeah, it's missing Kid Rock in a Trans Am.
All right, see y'all next week. What was that, a Guffey song?
Yeah.
I see the...
Yeah, it kind of changed the light. Nah, I just thought it was...
Yeah,
It's got a good beat.
Yeah. A lot better than that opener we had, but...
Oh.